I am Vinnie Tortorich. Folks, your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed. When you hear Blondie, when you hear Deborah Harry, it only means one thing. It's a Friday, and it's a call-in show. Oh, yeah. People love the call-in show. They go nuts. Yeah. And just like on every other call-in show, I can't do it alone. So I bring in help. I bring in the big guns. I'm talking about my good friend, Mr. Chris Shaffer. Yeah. Oh, yeah. How's it going, Pumpkin?
Thundering applause. I'll take it. I know it's fake, but it's fine.
It's not fake.
I'll take my wins where I can get them.
There's nothing fake about that applause. I don't care what people say. How's it going, Chris?
It's going pretty well, man. How you doing? I think we both seem to have a frog in our throat today, which is fun.
Well, I literally just hopped off of the rowing machine, and I put a dry T-shirt on, and I'm sitting. I put dry pants on too, because I was just,
Oh, you weren't wearing pants on the rowing machine anyway, so that's fine.
Yeah, that's the way I like to row. I like to keep it real, real nasty. Yeah, no, I changed. Whenever I row at home, I put on cycling shorts, because a lot of times I might start with 30 minutes of cycling, or after 30 or 40 minutes of the rowing machine, I might go, screw this, and get on the bike for 30 minutes. Of course, when I go out in a regular boat out in the water, different story. I wear the proper accoutrement, because the last thing you want is, and no one really cares about this, like all of my cycling shorts are the bib type, and I don't put the top part of the bib on. So if you're out rowing and that bib gets caught in that that track, you're going in the water. Yeah, there's no pulling that out without tipping in. I mean, you might get lucky, but you're not going to get lucky. You're going to crab and fall right in. So, yeah, I wear the proper accoutrement out there. And I didn't realize how important that was, because when I first started rowing on the water, I would wear like these kind of T-shirts out there, because it's summertime. It's like, hey, if the T-shirt gets wet, now I have a nice, cool, cotton T-shirt on. It's going to hold the water on me, and that's great. Then you find out that your thumbs, when you start pulling those oars in, it'll get caught on the T-shirt, and that will cause a crab. A crab is when you've seen if you just put in rowboat crab and go onto the YouTube, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, people get ejected from these boats because that oar, you got to realize that you're looking at a lever and a fulcrum, and the water's going in the opposite direction of the boat, or the boat's going in the opposite direction of the still water. And boom, you grab one of those oars, and that fulcrum, you're on the short end of that fulcrum, is going to eject you from that boat pretty good. And we'll talk about that later, I'm sure, because I see we have a special guest in that knows a lot about boats, and we'll introduce him later. Chris, who do we have up first?
We have our friend Christa calling in. Christa, give me a thumbs up in the camera if you're ready to jump on in. There she is. Hey, Miss Christa, how you doing?
Hi, good. How are you guys?
I can't complain. How are you doing?
Very well.
Good. You said that like, how are you doing? Oh, God. Very well. I don't know. Are you doing well? Should we call some? Do you need help? Should we call 911?
That's why I'm calling for help.
Well, that's why I'm here.
If Vinnie is your emergency services, we've done something dramatically.
Yeah, we need to upgrade you a bit there, Christa. Yeah. So tell me about it. Tell us what's on your mind.
So I'm calling because I've been struggling for a couple of years now. I found you probably early 2022 from Adam Carolla, Dr. Drew. Started listening to you, watched your documentaries. was all in June of 2022, did wonderfully for about a year and a half. And then I started struggling. And looking back, I think it's kind of coinciding with perimenopause. But the end result is I'm struggling. My meals are good. I love Anna, use her cookbooks regularly. But I'm a sugar addict, and it's the little sugars that happen much too often.
Yeah. Perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, it kicks your ass. I can't imagine what you women go through. I know what my wife went through. And I always tell everyone, if you're married to someone or in a relationship going someone through menopause, start drinking and drink heavily. And I say that jokingly because drinking is never the way out of anything, but it's rough. It's rough. My wife is one of those, stiff upper lip, British, tough, runs ultra marathons and do the whole thing. Menopause kicked her ass.
Mm-hmm.
Kicked her ass. For her to even bring something up means that, the leg is broken and hanging on by a thread, right? It kicked her ass.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty is there's a backside to menopause. There's the other side of menopause. Some women will tell you it's the best years of their life,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't have to worry about cramps or periods, that kind of thing. Most of them don't like having sex anymore. It's like, you don't have to worry about men or sex or anything. I don't like that part of it. I'm glad my wife is not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I think if I wasn't around, she could easily become that, right? Just that person, because that happens. But the beauty is that there's a backside. The tough part is you look way too young to be anywhere near that backside.
You might be right. Well, I'm not that young, but I think it can be 10 years from now, which is daunting to think about.
Well, all right. So do you mind me asking, how old are you?
I just turned 51.
Okay. I would have thought to late 40s. So you got that going for you. You look way younger than 51. I'm going to be honest with you.
Thank you.
When did the perimenopause start?
I'm thinking probably 2 years ago. I was maybe started HRT and things about a year ago.
Did you start skipping periods and that kind of thing, or later,
Not
early, or
yet.
heavy, super duper heavy, and all that kind of crap?
Yeah.
You're right there. And you're on HRT. You're bioidenticals, or what are we doing?
It's the patch. I don't remember which one it is, but it doesn't go through your system. It just gets absorbed through the skin. So it's supposed to be a little easier on the body. And
yeah, but still, that, when they say it does, it does help when you do that kind of thing, but it goes through the skin and it goes through a little something called blood, and then the blood goes through the liver, and the knee bone is connected to the thigh bone, so to speak. So it gets in there. Let's talk about the problem, Christa. Let's, you said you had it going. So let's go back to when it was working. You found me, you're listening to Dr. Drew, and let's face it, he's dreamy. He's a good-looking man. And what happens? You find me, you go, wait, I got to try this. Were we overweight? What were we trying to fix?
We were trying to fix a few things. Although I didn't maybe realize how many things until after starting, but I didn't realize every day my stomach would hurt. And it had to be some sort of carb I was eating. After lunch, before dinner, my stomach would be in pain. Like the other things that just when I started, I remember feeling very quickly within days, like, oh my gosh, I'm not in pain. Like I didn't even know I was in pain, but just like the achiness of every day went away, and it was amazing. So I was trying to lose weight, but all these other things that, happened as well that I didn't realize that needed to happen.
Yeah, I can't tell you how often I hear that. It's like, well, I just wanted to lose, 30, 40 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize I had headaches every day.
Mm-hmm.
A common one is people get inflammation, like after lunch, they'll start, like they have
Mm-hmm.
frogs in their throat. It's like, yeah, my doctor tells me I have allergies and this and that and the whole thing. Now I'm on allergy medication. They start eating correctly. Usually, you don't have to even be strict NSNG, no sugars, no grain. If you stop eating processed foods, usually that inflammation calms down. They'll go, my headache goes away. I don't have that frog in my throat. I'm not hocking up all afternoon, some weird allergy that the doctor's telling me. What the allergy is you're allergic to the crap that is going into your body. So, and then if you go a step further and you cut out processed sugars and grains, it takes you to a whole new level. And then you go, oh my God, I got this beat. So it sounds like you felt like you had a beat for a year and a half, 18 months or so.
Yep.
Did you lose any weight during that time?
I did. I lost about 35, 40 pounds.
Probably felt pretty good, didn't you?
It felt amazing.
Yeah. And so if you're feeling so good, well, we know the why. I shouldn't say why. Menopause comes in, hormones start screwing around. What happens? Like when it started happening, was it like, I'm just going to stop and get a little scoop of Haagen-Dazs? What were we doing?
It's funny you say that. My daughter works at an ice cream shop, so that doesn't help the situation. I remember the day, actually. It was my mom and I have a cookie party every year, and we had stopped having it, and then we brought it back, and that is when I felt the weakness to sugar again, because I did think I had it beat. I didn't have the food noise, the thoughts, the cravings. I was great, and it just came back.
I'm going to tell you a little secret, Christa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sugar addict. We never have it beat.
I know.
We never have it beat. I'm very, very lucky. I'm not an alcoholic, but I always wonder how people become alcoholics, because I'll go, and it turns out I don't like alcohol that much.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like I have the one drink and it feels good. And Anna Vocino will tell you, she bought a bottle of scotch for me to keep at her house about 12 years ago, and it's still mostly full. I'll have the one drink, and then even if I pour the second drink, I throw it away. Mm-hmm. It's like you're sitting there going, and sometimes I look at it and go, okay, my lips only touched this glass twice. It is alcohol. Can I just pour it back in the bottle? That's kind of wrong. So I just throw it away. Right. And so I don't understand how people become alcoholics. Although I have relatives who are been in the program for 20, 25 years. But I understand how people become sugarholics, because I'm a sugarholic. Mm-hmm. And we're coming up on a food holiday. We're recording this just shy of a food holiday.
Yep. And my favorite one.
Yeah. It's see, I can usually skate by on Thanksgiving, although I'll be reporting on what I ate and everything else, because I always do. I like to stay honest. Christmas is my tough one. Yeah. And I'm going to be in merry old England, where, it's like old-timey Christmas with Christmas cake and the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Right? It's hard. It's hard for me. Right? My sister-in-law gets everything catered. When people bring in catered food, that's like special food. I'm poor. I don't get to have catered shit. Right? I get what you're getting ready to go through next week. Mm-hmm. So we need to discuss that. Mm-hmm. We got to figure you out right now. So you start with your cookie party with your mom. Describe a cookie party to me, Christa. I don't even know that. I've never heard that term before right now. I was today years old when I learned about a cookie party.
So every year, we've done it for over 20 years. Everyone who's invited brings a half dozen cookies that they've made for every other person. And you take home, you bring as many cookies as you've made for everybody, and you take home one of each type of cookie.
Okay. We all know that if you make a half dozen cookies, no recipe calls for a half dozen cookies unless you're making these big giant.
Well, you're making it for 12 people. So they get a half dozen. So you're making that many.
Okay. So you're making enough so everyone gets a half dozen?
Half dozen, yes.
And how many people are at the party?
About 12 usually, 10 to 12.
So you're bringing 72 cookies home?
Yes.
Okay. You're fucked. Next caller, Chris. I get 72 cookies.
6 dozen? Is that
Yeah,
how the math?
I did the math.
Yeah.
72.
Yeah.
I'm not a math major, but that sounds like a shitload of cookies.
Yeah.
Have you met my brother Mark? Because you guys should be married.
No, I do take them to work, and I'm good about that, unless I like the one. Usually 1 or 2 I like, and I'll
Mark
eat
takes them to work too, so he can eat them. I swear to God, if you are you married, Kristen?
Yes, I am.
Okay, because if something happens to Mark's wife and something happens to your husband,
Okay.
I'm introduced because you guys belong together. I swear to God. See, the difference between me and Mark is we're both sugar addicts. And I treat my sugar addict problem as if I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I took cues from another relative of mine who taught me about the 12 steps and the whole thing. Now, here's the difference. A true 12-stepper, and I want you to understand this, a true 12-stepper can never touch another drink because they'll say 1 is too many, 1,000 is never enough.
Yeah.
Usually when alcoholics go back, they go back until they die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes they'll clean up twice, third time, dead. And they know that. They've seen people in the rooms die. One of my best childhood friends, we played high school ball together, never saw his 60th birthday. Didn't see his 55th birthday. I still get, weepy-eyed over it. Danny was a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The problem with sugarholics is, and I said this to Dr. Drew, he goes, well, it doesn't hit the hippocampus the way drugs and but Drew gets all uppity because he's a doctor and all.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, but Drew, the difference is we're not giving drugs and alcohol to kids at birthday parties and telling them this is good.
Yeah.
See, we have a different problem. We're not recognized the way alcoholics or drug abusers are.
Yeah.
We're in a different category where how can something called a gummy bear, how can that possibly be bad for you? A gummy bear. Think about that. Right? How can that be bad? Twizzler. Think of the name, Twizzler.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Devil dog. It sounds, come on. It all sounds so good. It's just so innocent.
Mm-hmm.
But not to us. So my question is, where are you right now? Have you been able to put some days together?
I actually have probably about 3 days this week.
Okay, so right now, are you still clean right now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or are you jonesing? Because 3 days is about when you start jonesing.
I'm not, and maybe it's because I didn't say, all right, this is it. It just kind of happened. But that doesn't mean it won't get to me at some point.
Oh, it can happen in an instant. Anything can cause it. You see a commercial on television, you leave your house, you see a billboard, anything can cause it. Yeah. I know. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, you've probably heard me talk about, I'll have a piece of something. It's got to be something special. But before I have it, I have a stiff cup of coffee waiting right there. Because if I can block right after I eat it, if I can block that, if I can just block it somehow, I can then walk away and not go back to it. So it is different than being an alcoholic. An alcoholic cannot do that. A drug addict cannot do that. I've learned over the years how to play with it, but it took me years. Mm-hmm. It took me years.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something that I've never admitted on this show before. I'm gonna admit something on this show right now that I've never talked about. First, I need to name drop to admit this. I was good friends with, you remember the Barbie twins, or are you too young to remember the Barbie twins?
No, I remember them.
Yeah, Shane and Sia.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Shane, not Sane. I knew Shane. I knew them both, but Shane was closer, right? They were exercise bulimics.
Mm-hmm.
They would pig out on stuff. And I'm not telling you stuff out of turn. They wrote a book about this. I was the same way. I would binge on a sugary thing. I would never binge on like pasta or pizza. And I could just eat that and move on and feel the bad effects of it. But sometimes I would stop like at a 7-Eleven or something like that. And, it's like after work, I've been working with clients all day. I'm driving home and I'd pull into, not a 7-Eleven. We had something called AM/PM out in California. You fill up with gas. And while I'm filling up, you go inside and it's like, you know what? Grab myself a Snickers bar here. Come on, the harm of one Snickers bar. What can that do? Right? Take it in a truck with me. I'm eating while I'm driving home. As soon as I'm done with it, I'm getting off the freeway again, looking for a 7-Eleven or another AM/PM.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, I'm not buying a Snickers bar. I'm buying a few things because I know the drive. LA, everything is half an hour flight. I know how long the drive is. And I'll just keep eating it until I get home. And when I got home, it's like, well, I'm getting on my spinner anyway for 2 hours because I'm ultra cycling and the whole thing. I would do that. Exercise bulimic, no different than the Barbie twins.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I had to work it off. I ate all these carbs. And I wasn't worried about getting fat or anything because I wasn't. But you feel crappy after you eat. You ever feel crappy after you eat? You feel good while you're eating and then you feel crappy?
Immediately.
You get on a spinner and you feel crappy for about the first 10, 15, 20 minutes. Then you get a bunch of energy because you got all that energy in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And then an hour later, you feel a lull. So you're on the spinner and you're eating one of those multi-dextrin things like a goo.
Mm-hmm.
Just get you through the rest of it. I was that guy. I've never admitted this in this podcast before. So I wasn't exactly an exercise bulimic. I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm getting fat now, because I wasn't getting fat. But I couldn't control the sugar. And that's what we got to do here. We got to control the sugar. So now, with that in mind, you got 3 days. You think you can make it through today and then through tomorrow? Can you get me to Monday?
Yeah.
You're saying, yeah, but do you really think you could get to Monday?
Yep. I already did grocery shopping. No snacks were in the thing. So yeah, nothing's in the house.
Okay. So here's the next question. What are we going to do for Thanksgiving? What's the game plan?
Well, one good thing is it's not at my house, so I won't have leftovers.
Good.
So that's what I would do if it's usually at my house. I would have leftovers for the whole Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So not having that's one good thing. And then I will. A lot of this stuff this is the only time I have it, and is my favorite holiday. So I probably will have small amounts of things that I don't have any other time. And then I'm right back on. I have to be right back on Friday.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do. Off the air, Chris is going to give you. All right. So you're telling me you can make it to Thursday. You promised me you're going to make it till Thursday.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have stuff.
Yep.
Okay. That's fine. Chris, can you hear me? Can you come on for a second in the background?
Vinnie, can you hear me? What's up?
Can you connect me with Christa? Give her my personal phone number.
Yep.
Christa, I need you to text me on Friday if you're getting ready to screw up.
Okay.
And in your text, you got to lead it off by saying, "This is Christa," because I get a lot of crazy texts and I don't know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly from me.
Yeah, kind of. But this is Christa, and it could take me an hour or so to get back to you because I don't walk around with the phone attached to my hand. text me if you run into trouble.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm gonna help you, because if we could get you through Friday, if we could get you right back on Friday, then we could get you through the weekend, and then we can get you going again.
Yep. Okay. But guess what's next week after Thanksgiving? The cookie party.
You can't go. You can't go.
It's going to be our last one.
No, you can't go.
It's my mom.
Tell your mom you love her to death, but you can't do it.
Okay.
I'm telling. Look, I'm trying to help you here.
I know.
I'm trying to stop an outbreak, and you're taking an infected monkey to the airport.
I know.
You know, we can't stop a pandemic unless you stop the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right? Can you work with me? Tell your mom, look, Mom, I love you and everything, but I'm not coming to the cookie party. You can't walk around with 72 cookies.
I know.
I'm sorry, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing that when you're at the cookie party, there's some sampling that goes on. Right? We can't blame this on perimenopause if you got fucking cookie parties going on. I know. I'm just being honest.
I know. You're right.
This is what you call tough love.
Yep. I need it.
Tell your mom you love her. Take her out. Go do something else. But don't go to the cookie party. Don't. Okay. I don't want you making the cookies and sending them to the party. Nothing. Because my daughter, she figured out baking when she was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Because
her mom liked the bacon, the whole thing. I'd walk into the house and the whole house has that aroma of baking, bacon. I would have to turn around and leave. Right? I could not be in that house because I'd want to go in that kitchen and start licking the bowl. You do the lick. Doing the lick. I didn't want to do it. Because the lick turns into, let me get a spoon to scrape the rest of this out. Next thing you know, the cookies are baked. And you want to get them while they're still mushy and hot. You can't do it. Stop it. We got to break it right now. Okay. And then we can worry about Christmas later on. Okay?
Yeah, Christmas is not a struggle. It's this Thanksgiving and then the cookie party. I don't struggle at Christmas time, thankfully.
Okay. Good. So we got a game plan, right?
Yep.
We're going to make it until Thursday. You're going to do a little something on Thursday. Yep. And then we got to jump right back on. That's the one thing that separates us from alcoholics.
Yep.
They can die right away. We have years before we die. But it's a slow death, nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. I don't want it like that.
No. So, Chris, while I'm talking to our next guest, get Christa's information and then hook me up with my private number.
Yep.
Okay. Great. All right, Miss Christa, we got a game plan, right?
Yep. Thank you so much.
Good. Chris.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're gonna get Christa going, man. We're gonna get her going in the right direction. That's why we do this. We don't do this. God only knows we don't do it to make money. If we did, I'm doing a bad job.
Now I'm just over here thinking about cookie parties.
I've never heard of a cookie party until right now. Have you ever hear of it?
I have.
Really?
Vinnie, you know my mom has a master's degree in early childhood education from an Ivy League university.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And ended up teaching preschool because she didn't want to deal with the ongoing requirements of being a teacher and loved little kids anyway. Every year growing up, all of the teachers at her school would get together and do a cookie party. And that was like 20 something people.
And they would all bring a half dozen cookies for everyone?
Oh, yeah. And then on top of that, Vinnie, you and I have talked about this. My family is all about the food, kind of like your family. We're not Italian, we're German, but we like to fake that we're Italian, right? There's 15 must-have dishes for the third Sunday after Easter, right? Like any excuse to get together is an excuse to have 15 flavors of everything. So my mom has a tiered cookie platter that she puts out every year on Christmas Eve. So in addition to whatever she would bring home from the cookie party, she would have snickerdoodles and peanut blossoms and chocolate chip cookies and, chocolate covered Oreos and 15 other things. And then 10 half dozens of cookies that she brought home from somebody else.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. You know, we never had anything like that. Of course, the Italians did something called the St. Joe altar every year for St. Joseph's Day. And they make an altar out of baked goods. I'm not making this up. It's a tradition with Catholic Italians. And so, you know, we would have a lot of food for that, but that was about it. Folks, before we move on to our next guest, I need to tell you about the best air cleaner in the world. It doesn't just clean the air, it scrubs it. It's called an air scrubber. As of this recording, I now have 2 of them. I have one in my office, and I have one that just came in today. Mike Feldstein sent me a second one to put up in my bedroom because he claims that it will make my wife stop snoring. And we're going to find out because I'm going to put it up there and see if it works. It's called Jasper, Jaspr, no E in there, jaspr.co/Vinnie. Will save you $400 on your Jasper. You go, 400? How much do these things cost? If you just went there without the discount, it's a $1,200 machine. I looked at that Black Friday special. They took $300 off for Black Friday. I made a special deal with Jasper. My listeners put in the promo code Vinnie at the end or at the beginning. You can put in jasper.co/Vinnie, Vinnie, no wimpy Y, and you will get $400 off. So $799 would be the cost of your Jasper. You might sit there and go, "Oh, that's still rich for my blood." Trust me, I have one in my office. It's changed my life. That's why I had Mike Feldstein back on the show. Look, this guy came on. We were talking about, remediation of smoke and everything during the LA fires back in January. And I had him on as a guest. He started telling me about his product, and he sent me one. I wouldn't have ever bought this thing. I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't have bought it. What it's done down in my office is just amazing. I talked about it on other shows. The impellers of my Concept 2 had no dust in them. It was like a little light coating of dust. Usually after 1,000,000 meters, I clean it every 1,000,000 meters. There's like an 1/8 of an inch of like gunge, I would call it, on every impeller. Folks, if that's flying around in your air, that's getting into your lungs. And I have filters in my house. I have like this special super duper, all the stuff. Go get this thing. It's a HEPA filter, and it's also a charcoal filter. It filters out everything. Jasper.co/Vinnie, JASPR.co/Vinnie. Go right now. You're going to see what I'm talking about. And we're going to bring up our next guest. Chris.
Yes, sir.
Our next guest is a guy, he's been on the show before, for sure, I think a short period, not for very long. But this guy, when I had my New Year's resolution of building a kayak, this guy opened up his shop to me, his home pretty much. And truth be known, if it wasn't for him, I would still be building a kayak. It wouldn't be complete right now. And that's a fact. Because, and let's just bring him on. He's here. I didn't realize he was coming on today. I saw him in the thing. Folks, I'm talking about none other than the great Mr. Joey Schott. Yeah.
Joey, give me that thumbs up in the camera, and we'll bring you on in. There he is.
Joey.
Hey, Vinnie.
How's it going, man?
It's pretty good, man.
Joey, I don't know if you hear the show very often, but I still brag about you and Turning Point Boats and all that kind of stuff and what you made possible for me. Right. I mean, I don't know if I ever told you this, but one day I was out in my other boat with Dave, the kayaker, our good friend, Dave Dolak.
Yeah.
And we came across a guy that was in a wooden boat. Turns out it was the exact boat that I built from Guillemot. The same thing, except he didn't have the modified top on it. Right. So we stopped and we talked to this modified deck is what I should say. Mm-hmm. we stopped and spoke to this guy for a good bit. Told him that I had one, talked about you, talked about what we did and the whole thing. So I said to him, I said, how many hours did it take you to build that thing? He goes, I didn't keep exact, but he goes, probably 700 or 800 hours.
Yeah.
And I said, did you have any woodworking experience beforehand? He goes, yeah, some. He said, but not enough to do this. And I said, what took the most time? And he said, correcting mistakes. Because, and that's where, you know, if you weren't there, you know, first off, I would still be building the spine, right? The fact that, you know, everything was, it's like, why is he being so exacting? And why is this so, you know, Joy's kind of anal here. All of this stuff is, you know, even building that spine on day one, I'm like, this guy's getting down to nth degree, like millimeters and everything else. And just really being exact, because if you're off a little bit, right, then you're off a lot. Is that the deal? You tell.
It compounds. So if you have something that's just a little bit off from the very beginning, it will continue to grow from that point on. So, you know, that saying that I often uttered says the eye doesn't lie.
Right.
And it was just trust your vision, trust your eyes. But it's not my saying, it's actually Nick's saying, and it's right. It's absolutely true.
Yeah, there were a couple of times where we would get up on a step ladder and look down on the boat because something was supposed to be some other way. And we're both looking at it because, you know, Joy has a keen eye for this, but I have a really strong eye because of other things I've done. Like I can, and we would both get up on that step ladder and look down at the boat and go, the plan says to do this, but we might want to do that. Right.
Yeah. I seem to remember there was a day that we absolutely got nothing done because we kept reversing course because it just didn't look right.
Right.
And finally, all we did was set ourselves up for the next weekend.
Yeah.
And that was 8 hours later. So.
Yeah, it really takes that kind of effort. It was a Sisyphean effort. I mean, we finished the boat in 320 something hours, right?
Yep.
That seems about right.
That was right. Yeah.
And then you learn that, you know, because my question was, why do these boats, like this quality of boat would normally cost somewhere between, did you say 40 and 60 grand, depending on who's building it and that kind of deal?
Yeah. I mean, if you take the labor rate, so you and I work for about $1 an hour. So,
yeah.
Which makes it 50 cents for each one. So, but you know, if you were to have somebody do that, you know, just as an example, in my shop now for repairs, depending on what size of boat it is, the labor rate is going to be, you know, X amount of dollars, and then, you know, say it's $50 an hour.
Right.
And that's just an example. And then you time that by 320, then you find out just what something really cost. And, you know, time it's not cheap.
No. And also all of the materials that you use and everything else. And it all means something. But at the end, we have this thing that Dave, the kayaker, calls the Stradivarius of kayaks. Right? And I think that's more of a testimony to you, right? Because if I had done it, I don't think the thing would have even floated, right?
I think you're a little hard on yourself, but you are a perfectionist as well. So between the two of us, something had to happen well, or we'd be still doing it.
Yeah, but you know, I could be a perfectionist, but I didn't know the word chamfer. I didn't know chamfer. It was like, we need to chamfer this piece of wood to fit it in. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I thought we just had to cut an edge on it. It's like, no, you got to cut an edge and cut an under edge on it. And then you got to roll the other side. And it was like, I'm sitting there going, really? Because as it turns out, all of these pieces of wood need to match exactly perfect, or you're going to have holes in your boat that, you know, something like water can easily flow through.
Right. And when you're in the process of sanding and doing the final shaping, you could actually open a hole up instead of, you know, if it's not done right. So,
right.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, but, you know, honestly, there's always a way to fix that kind of stuff. And I used to counsel people when they were building their boats when I was working for the company that made the forms and strongback, that, you know how to build it, you know how to fix your mistakes too. You just got to, you know, think critically and sort of figure it out.
The one thing I think I wouldn't have ever gotten past without getting a professional was the area around the cockpit.
And we made that as difficult as we possibly could, because it's a focal point.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling what it took just to make that area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you know, when people look at the boat, they don't look at that first, but it is, you know, it is where everything. That's where your eye goes. It all draws into that, and so once again, I can't thank you enough for.
No, it was probably one of the coolest things that I've done in a really long time. And, you know, just for you and I to kind of solve the world's problems, you know, for a period of a little over a year on Saturdays was pretty damn cool.
Yeah. And look, it was at a time, and I've never talked about this, but you got to hear it every Saturday because I was on the phone a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Is when things started to go a little haywire with my vitamin company. And I was trying to figure out what was going on and talking to my people. And, you know, sometimes Chris was on the phone, sometimes a couple of other guys, I don't want to mention their names. And I was always taking calls, and I was trying to stay away from all of that and enjoy this process. But that, you know, that was all coming. That was during that time, right?
Yeah. And truth be told, you know, my struggles with the company were just getting started. And, you know, if you know, what I should have been doing for the company's sake was just to be working and making money. Whereas, you know, I needed it for me, you know, just to be able to shut my brain off of, you know, the normal nightmare that was going on at that point in time. So it helped both of us. And, you know, building, you know, particularly a wood strip kayak has always been a therapeutic thing for me. So, so it was a good time for both of us.
Yeah, I really do think it helped both of us. And I'm glad that, you know, I figured out my problems, and I think you figured out your problems, right? As far as business goes.
Yeah, it took a little while, but so we went two different opposite. You dug in, and I just raised the white flag and said, you know, enough's enough. So,
well, you know, speaking of, you know, kayaks and everything, Oscar Chalupsky, a guy who I've had on the show here a few times.
Still going. Yeah.
He's still alive. I don't know how he's alive. I mean, he's beaten cancer every which way a human being can beat cancer. He wrote an incredible book about the whole thing. It's in a Vinnie book club. I can't remember the name of it. But I read his book before he came on. And he used the term because, you know, the guy owned, you know, Nilo Kayak. Well, he's still with Nilo, I think, but he had the, you know, he was with Epic. You know, he owned Epic. And he kind of did what I did. He was the face of the company and out there promoting the company and everything. And he was the owner, and he left it in the hands of people he thought who was smarter than him. He knew there was a problem, but he called it, and I think a lot of people can relate to this when it comes to health and fitness. He says the Chinese call this riding the tiger.
Yeah.
So I'm reading that in the book. It's like, riding the tiger. What does he mean? Well, we know a tiger's dangerous and a tiger will kill us. But if you're riding on a tiger's back, you could just keep riding, knowing that you have to get off one day and the tiger can attack you. But at some point, you have to get off that tiger and face it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's his book was pretty influential for me too. So and to be honest, it was one of the contributing factors to me deciding to close it because it was you would think such a wholesome thing would be such a, you know, wholesome business, but, you know, I was in the automotive industry for for 25 plus years, and that was a cutthroat business.
Yeah.
The kayak industry is worse.
It's hard to believe.
It really is.
Really?
And it's contributed a lot to my, my struggles as far as, keeping my health in check. And finally getting rid of that and just getting focused on, life in general and reducing my stress, and also, just focusing on me has been just absolutely huge.
So let's talk about that, Joey. I
Sure.
haven't, you and I haven't spoken on the phone for a fair bit.
Yeah.
And where are you with your health? And tell us what I can't talk for you. I know a lot about your health, but you can say whatever you want.
Yeah. I think, there seems to be a fulcrum point where things started to get really difficult. And that was centered around the stroke in 2020. And, quick backstory on the stroke, it was attributed to a TBI that was probably occurred during a vehicle accident where I was rear-ended by a car. I was stopped, he was doing 50. And we've been able to kind of trace back a bunch of different injuries that occurred at that point that came to surface, between 2.5, 3 years later. And this stroke was one of those. And also at the same time, I was dealing with a lot of pain in my hip. And turns out, I had one surgery, and then the stroke happened, and we were geared up to go for a replacement. That got put off. So it was just, it was one blow after another. And I think what the biggest thing, because that stroke happened towards the front end of the pandemic, there was a lot of fear that was basically instilled in me. And that's not something I typically walk around with, is fear, because my body is beat to hell because I seem to lack that gene at some point in time, and all of a sudden I got it. And that was when the doctor sat down with me before I was discharged, and he says, you cannot get this because there's a clotting factor that goes along with it. And he said, it will alter or end your life. And that was a wake-up call. And it also affected my, if you want to call it, operating system. And, from that point, I became very kind of withdrawn from, from my company, from my customers, things like that. And, things kind of took a pretty dark turn from that. And, then I was put on blood thinners. Then I couldn't go out and go paddle like I normally like to do. And, I got an invitation to go and paddle with a world-class whitewater paddler, and had to basically take the beginner route because I couldn't risk, being upside down and hitting anything on a rock, because I would bleed out because I was on blood thinners.
Right.
So that whole thing, and during this whole process, they discovered I had an aneurysm. Don't know where that came from. That was on my carotid artery. So we had to wait in order to fix that. I had to get my hip fixed. Then I got the carotid artery fixed. And then, the weight started to come off a little bit. And then finally, the decision to close Turning Point as a company and just kind of regroup was getting the train back on the track, so to speak. So at that point, my weight and all that had kind of started to balloon back up. And, I started at 247 when I was, way back when, before you and I even know who Vinnie was. And, then I got down to my lowest was, about 172.
Yeah.
And it just started to creep back up. And it's one of those things that creeps back so slow, you really don't notice. And then when you do notice, it's like, holy crap. So in the last, I guess 6 months, I've really kind of been able to focus more on it. I do believe that there were some changes that happened to me, on a neurological level, which also control hormones and stuff. And plus I'll be 59 next week. So there's that as well, which has made it a little bit more difficult to focus on the weight number. So
Right.
basically, I focus on inflammation because, like I said, I beat my body up, through motorcycles or, even in kayaking. I do what we call ocean whitewater. It's rough.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we get tossed by, a big wave or whatever. And, if you've done it right, you come back and you've got, some stories and a few bruises to show for it. So all of that kind of stuff contributed to a lot of just, general pain. And that's the way I measure my success right now. And that's the dialogue I have internally is if it's, something is tempting me, it's like, do I really want to go through a week and a half of the pain? It affects my walk. I mean, and right now I'm probably going to have another surgery for a problem that is in my foot. That's a nerve pain, but the way I've been keeping it at bay because I don't want to take anti-inflammatories.
Right.
They suck. I mean, I would have been on it most of my life if I had not, started eating this way. But that's what's kept that at bay because it's in my my left foot, and it was when it was bad. It really hurt to push the clutch in on the truck at the end of the day.
Right.
And so, that was another thing. Okay, you've really got to pay attention now. You can't, just stay keto, and you've really got to buckle down and get rid of the inflammatory stuff. So that's how I judge it now. That's the conversation I have when I get that urge. It's like, do I want to put up with that pain? Because it doesn't make me a very good person to be around. So that's basically it.
Pain is always a tough thing. Hang on just a second, Joey. Folks,
Sure.
Villa Capelli olive oil. Villa Capelli, if Joey just used Villa Capelli, he would never need another anti-inflammatory in his life. Villa Capelli is the best olive oil on the planet. I'm saying that for two reasons. One, because it's true. Second, because they pay me to say it. But here's the truth. Even before Villa Capelli was a sponsor on this show, 12, 13 years ago, Anna and I used to talk about it because the olive oil was so good. We talked about it so much on the show that they ended up becoming a sponsor, and they've been a sponsor from the beginning. If you support this show, go get Villa Capelli. You want to get the 3-liter 10, folks. 3 liters, that's a lot of olive oil. Yes, it is, but it lasts a long time. You keep it in a cool, dry place, and your Villa Capelli will just be around whenever you need it. You won't have to, I'm out of this 750 milliliter bottle again. No, you get 3 liters. Folks, if you spend more than $125 after the Vinnie discount, you also get free shipping. So look around at Villa Capelli. They have other things you can purchase. You want to get that free shipping. You want to save 10%? Put in promo code Vinnie, V-I-N-N-I-E, Vinnie, V-I-N-N-I-E for 10% off every single time. Villa Capelli. We're talking to Joey Schott. Joey, it's funny that your boat company was called Turning Point Boat Work, and I had never heard of Turning Point USA before this guy, Charlie Kirk, who I'd never heard of either.
Right.
Because I just don't follow politics. It's just not my thing. And then all of a sudden, every time you say Turning Point now I know what it is because did you ever get confused with that company? I'm thinking about that right now.
Yeah. And that was a point of discussion about, possibly there was an attempt to rebrand because of that. Because, and it's one of the things that I've always, told people is, there was a point where I had people that were selling my kayaks, they're dealers. And, I'd always, whenever we get into a period like now, where we're really, animated about our beliefs as far as the political landscape is concerned, not to put them on social media because you basically cut your audience in half. And, that's, on a business where you're, struggling to survive and then you half it, you're not going to make it. And truth be told, I did have a couple of people because that line got crossed. A couple of people contacted me directly to buy one directly from me because they did not want to spend that money. So, yeah, that's how volatile things are. And, traditionally that kind of sport has always leaned in a direction, and let's just say Turning Point is a bad name for that group of people.
Right. And it's so weird. I'm thinking about this right now. You and I worked together for 320 hours. Mm-hmm. I still don't know what your politics are. And do you know what mine are?
No.
Never came up. That's what I'm always telling people. We need to get back to that with politics. It's like, I never ask people what their politics are. Sometimes people will foist it upon you. You're at someone's house for dinner and they'll bring it up.
Yeah.
But they'll notice that if you stay quiet and don't say anything, then it just goes away, right? I don't care what someone's politics are. I'm trying to help everyone. Michael Jordan said it the best.
I know that one.
I think everyone knows this, and more people need to be like Michael. They said, Michael, every other basketball player is taking a stand on which side of the aisle they're on. Where are you? And he goes, I don't talk about that. And they said, well, why? He goes, because people on the right and people on the left like to buy my tennis shoes.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's what it should be. We shouldn't know what someone's politics are. I've always been a big Michael Jordan fan. Right. I love what he did. I would hate to think that all of a sudden I can't like him. And by the way, that doesn't bother me either way. I don't want to get into this, but I'll just say
no, it doesn't.
I mentioned the movie the other day. I went, I was watching this movie, and someone goes, why did you watch that? I went, it was a good movie. It was like, well, you know who's in it, right? I went, yeah, watch the movie. I don't know what's in it. And it's like, well, I'm not going to hate someone's movie because I don't like his or her politics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
Right. I mean, to me, what I think it at this point, regardless of which side you fall on, but when you start denying yourself, enjoyment because of that belief, there's time to do some reflection at that point.
Yeah. You got to look around and go, what the F am I doing? Now, Joey, where are you right now? I didn't mean to go off in a weird direction. That's all right. That's kind of like our conversations every other Saturday.
Right. Yeah.
Where are you now with your health? You look pretty good. Are you losing weight, gaining weight? What are we doing?
Yeah, no, I'm not tracking the scale very much. Basically I'm following my inflammation score, how I feel. And when I wake up in the morning, and if it hurts to walk to the kitchen and make my coffee, I've done something wrong. So, but I've been going to the gym, following your push-pull routine, throwing a little bit of variation in on that, just keeping things changed up. And it's getting to the point where I'm starting to find I want more from a gym. So I've been, going to the YMCA and they have, the proverbial 10 gallons of crap in a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get around there. And so I try to go, and that's the beauty now of me working for myself is I can go at 2 p.m. and not have to worry about it that much. But yeah, I am noticing, and Leslie's actually noticed too, that my shoulders are getting a little broader and things like that, and still fluffier than I'd like to be around the midsection. But it's that'll come as long as I keep keeping the inflammation down, because that means I'm eating right.
Good. And look, you know where to find me. You ever want to talk?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And once the winter months roll by, we need to get out and do a little kayaking together, because I figured out a way to fix my lower back, and I want to start kayaking more.
That's really good, because I figured out how to mess mine up. So.
Oh, dude, look, I have no connection to this company whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But I started working on my ilium and my psoas from the front. Right. And this company makes this product called the Hook. And I've been using this hook. Uh-huh. And I also found this other guy on the internet that, there's a couple of exercises, there's a couple of stretches that I already knew how to do, but you just don't do them. Mm-hmm. Right. And I started doing those stretches and using that hook device. The hook is made, folks, I have no connection to this. There's no promo code. Maybe I should get a promo code for this. The company is called Aletha, Aletha. And as a matter of fact, I mentioned this to Anna, and Anna goes, "Oh my God, I used to have the Aletha hook." And she goes, "I was going to ask you about it, but it looked like such a gadget that I thought you would laugh at me, so I gave it away to someone else." I've been using this to massage my iliopsoas and my psoas muscle and my ilium from the front, and I have this. I'm using a little ball, like a lacrosse ball on my back, and and then I do a couple of stretches, and I've released my back to where rowing doesn't hurt anymore. I'm getting ready to pull my paddle erg out of that storage when I get back from Thanksgiving, because if I can row again, rowing is easier on my back. If that's working, the paddle erg is going to work too. So I'm going to pull my paddle erg out and start paddling here in my gym to see if I've really started to fix it. But I want to give it another week or two before I do that. But in the spring, we should get out.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm finishing up. Actually, the tires arrive on Tuesday, but a new mountain bike. So if you and Dave want to go and jump on a trail somewhere, if you want to come down to Richmond, we've got a great flow trails thing right here. So it'd be interesting to get you back on a bike.
Joy, on a mild weekend, meaning if it's 45, I'll do it.
Okay.
If it's lower than 45, I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, my hands would protest.
I'll do 45 plus. So let's talk. Let's get that done.
Yeah, there was one quick thing, and Leslie always sends me these things through Messenger or whatever that she sees and she tries out, and she is very healthy, and she's always got something going on as far as exercise. And she sent me this thing, and it's fascial release. So it's just these series of movements. You start out hopping, and you're basically letting your arms just kind of flop, and you go through this whole series of things. So I started doing it, just to try it, and it also makes her happy that I try what she sends me. But I found that after I do it and then I go into the gym, I have a better workout.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. And look, this Aletha hook, you're working on part of the fascia. So there's a lot to that. And not to mention, is causing, at our age, the synovial fluid is not right there ready to rock and roll. So it actually warms you up and gets a little synovial fluid moving through your joints. So that's good too. So I would say, and by the way, your wife, I don't know how in the hell she's with you, because she's a smoke show. And you're kind of a mess. And she's always got it together. So,
I get worried when she starts saying that. So.
So you're real lucky in that respect. But please tell her I said hi, and let's go hit the trails on a mountain bike, do a little winter riding. I'm all in.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right, brother. There he goes. One Mr. Joey Schott. Yeah. Chris. All right, Chris, that was great talking to Joey, man. I really miss that guy. It's funny how someone comes into your life, you think about, I talk about him all the time, with the kayak and everything else. It's good to see that he's out there doing well. Yeah,
he's a good dude, and he must have the patience of a saint if he helped you build a kayak for over a year.
It's not that bad. I'm not that bad, am I? I mean,
no.
Think about the God number of hours you and I. Yeah, and it's funny he brought it up. It was right when it's the pandemic. It was after the pandemic was still kind of going on, and some people were wearing masks. Other people were going, "Don't wear a mask." People would take the shot. Don't take the shot. You're crazy if you take. It was during that portion of the pandemic when we were doing all of that, and it's funny that we never talked about politics or anything else. We just got in there and we did some woodworking every weekend. And my company was going through problems. I didn't realize how bad the problems were because I was being lied to by everyone. I don't know if they were trying to protect me or anything else, but, the only thing that was good about the company was that we were still making the great products, right? Yeah. But money was mismanaged and everything. And Joey was going through his own thing, and we would talk about it. We were at different levels, right? But we both had these problems, and just a great dude all the way around. So great catching up with him. Who do we? I see we have Ken. Ken waiting.
Ken here in the background. Ken, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to come on in. We'll bring you in. There he is. Hey, Ken, how you doing, man?
Hey, man.
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Can't complain. God, who's the actor you're reminding me of a little bit? A lot. Who do people say you remind them of? Dreyfuss, Richard Dreyfuss.
Really? No, I hadn't heard that one.
The eyes, the mustache. Well, the mustache is kind of a thing. But Chris, come on. Does he look a little bit like Richard Dreyfuss? A little bit like a young Richard Dreyfuss?
Maybe.
Oh, no.
I can say it.
You can't pull that picture of Richard Dreyfuss up. Pull up Jaws Richard Dreyfuss, and then, then I think we'll have what we need.
You think
I can't pull off the beard, though.
Yeah, you don't have the beard. Can you not grow a beard?
I've tried. It just doesn't come in very well, and it just drives me nuts. And after about a week, I shave it.
Well, you got an A+ mustache, which I like. So I keep threatening to bring mine back, and my wife says she doesn't like them, but I sported the mustache a lot during the 80s.
Yeah, I've worn it for probably 30 years.
Well, it works, brother, so don't get rid of it.
Awesome.
I'm sure you didn't call to talk to us about facial hair or jaws or any of that. So
I really just called. Was excited to get a chance to meet you and talk to you. I've been listening to you for years, and thank you for what you do. I first heard you on Mike Rowe 3 or 4 years ago, so it makes me a Rowie. What do you call them?
Yeah, Roby. There's the Robies, and then the Roby point 2s, and then Roby point 3s.
So yeah, I started listening to you. Started doing NSNG. I'm not real strict NSNG, but try to do as much as I can, and I feel so much better than I did before. I pretty much cut out sugar, try to minimize the carbs, and I feel great.
Yeah, it's crazy. We were talking, to Christa earlier about this, and she's a carbaholic. She's a sugarholic. She's got the same problem I have, right? In other words, I can eat some. I never eat them because they're full of crap and seed oils. But if I ate a bag of chips, let's say, I'm not then jonesing for another bag of chips. But to be honest with you, I haven't probably had chips in 40 years. I just don't eat that. Pizza. Yeah, I can eat one piece of pizza, walk away, no problem. Right. But you give me any kind of sweet, even a sweet I don't like. Right. Like let's say it was, I don't know, butterscotch candy. It's not one of my favorites when I was a kid. It's like, you got to suck on this or whatever. It's stuck in your teeth. Or gummy bears. People talk about those gummy bears. I don't even know what that is. I've had a gummy bear. I'm like, what is this? Right. But if I ate a gummy bear, now I'm looking for Haagen-Dazs. Now I'm stopping to get a pastry of some sort, right? It's once you open up that sugar cabinet, you just continue on, right? And that's always my problem. That's what I have to beat. What about you?
Nothing in particular. I've never really struggled with weight. I mean, I could probably lose a few pounds, but I'm 5'6". I'm right at 170, and I'm plus or minus 2 or 3 pounds from that, kind of no matter what I do. And I feel pretty good there. So
you look like you exercise. You strong neck, strong shoulders. Kind of a handsome guy. If I was gay, probably be your thing. You'd be my thing. Do you exercise, pump iron, do anything?
I do. Not a lot. I've never been much of a gym rat, but so for the past several years now, just in the mornings I get up, I do some jumping jack, stretching, and then some jumping jacks, push-ups, sit-ups, and some lunges.
Okay. No
30
one's
of
done a
each.
jumping jack in 40 years. You're still doing jumping jacks?
I just do it to warm up. Yeah.
Really? I don't think I've done a jumping jack since high school when they made us do them in PE. And at that time, I'm like, what are we doing? We're flailing around here. So you do the regular jumping jack, arms over your head, back down,
Yep.
feet out. And I guess when you think about it, it's a wake up. It's kind of like what Joey was talking about with the facial, the fascia exercises, right?
Yeah, it's just to get the heart pumping a little bit. And then I just do it, in the bedroom watching TV, so I can just turn the TV on and watch it while I'm doing it.
How long do you do them?
Like I said, I do 30 of each. Probably doesn't take more than 10 minutes.
So, all right, give me the whole routine. Now I'm interested. You're in the bedroom, the TV's on, and
Yeah, so,
you start with what?
I do stretching first. Just stretch the arms and legs and all that kind of stuff. And then I do 34 count jumping jacks, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2. And then I do 30 push-ups and then 30 sit-ups. Sometimes I'll do leg lifts. And then I just do 30 squats, actually. I said lunges. So no weights, just body weight.
And you do that every day?
Monday through Friday. Yep.
And so you take the weekends off. You go, Saturday, I'm not doing this crap. So today you didn't do it.
Correct.
Okay. That's amazing. That is amazing. I know you don't think that's amazing, but the fact that you have that routine. There was a woman in the early days of the show. Her name is, I would say was, but she's still with us, Anna Sadat, long before you came on. I know that last name sounds familiar. It sounds weird. Sadat, is like, really? Is he making that up? Anna Sadat, she works for GM in the Corvette division, right? She's a designer and the whole thing. Kind of an interesting woman. And Anna, how old are you, Ken? Did I ask?
I'll be 61 next month.
Okay. So Anna is our age, right? She's one of us. You, me, Anna. I'm 63. So when Anna took time off to have her kids way back when, she was a stay-at-home mom for, half a year before she went back to GM, went back to work, right? And she, at the time, that's back when diapers, you still wash diapers. You didn't just take them off your kid and throw them away. And she was like, I was constantly washing and drying and folding diapers, right? So she had laundry around the clock. I think she had 3 boys, all in a row. So she decided to start doing push-ups. And she would do 10 push-ups and then fold a few diapers or whatever, and then do 10 more. She would end up doing over 100 push-ups per day in between all of the work she was doing. So every so many minutes, she would get on the floor. And I'm not talking really fast push-ups, nice, slow, military-style push-ups. And I guess the woman was in her, she hasn't been on a show now for maybe 6-7 years. So let's call her 53, 54 at the time. She looked amazing. She had nice arms, triceps, the whole thing. And all she did all the time was push-ups. And she still does them. We used to call them Sadat push-ups because she would, even after she went back to work, she would still figure out to do over 100 push-ups a day. And I think it got to where she would do 20 here, 20 there, at a time. She was able to do more and more and more to get them. Was it 100 or 200? It was a lot of push-ups every single day. But when you think about it, every time you're doing a push-up, you're in a plank position. So you're working your core, you're working your whole body, right? And that was her deal.
Yep.
And we call them Sadat push-ups.
Yep. I used to run a few times a week, but my knee started hurting too much and gave that up.
That happens to some people. And other people, I saw this woman, she's the oldest woman to finish an Ironman triathlon, 80 years old. And she finished within a time period. And I watched a little bit of her story, and she was like, yeah, I retired. And, I was always kind of into exercises, but I really want to try something. So she didn't have all that wear and tear on her joints, right? They were kind of brand new. She was a school teacher or something. I can't remember. Retired when she was 60 something. So her joints were more brand new than the rest of us, right? But yeah, she was still knocking it out, still doing it.
I do have one question.
Sure.
So trying to bring my wife along this journey. She's listened to the show a few times, you know, in the car. I put it on, and she's always trying to lose weight, and I've mentioned to her that she could do better with her diet. She thinks she's eating healthy, so she eats a ton of fruit, which, as you always say, is nothing but sugar,
Right.
and a ton of carbs. And I've mentioned it to her a few times, but you know how it is when you're trying to encourage your wife to do something. You got any tips?
Yeah. My show is not going to do it for her. It's not, because number one, you've mentioned my name to her. She's already averse to me. Right. She already has. It's what people do. This is not your wife. This is everything. Like whenever my wife goes, I listen to this guy and he's really good. You know, we both love Dave Ramsey because we do a lot of stuff with our own finances and the whole thing. But she'll come in and she'll go, I heard this other guy talking about financing and I want you to listen to him. And all of a sudden I'm averse to that because my wife is telling me I need to listen to some other dude. Right? It's not what we want to hear. Your wife already hates me, right? Because you've said once or twice, well, Vinnie says you shouldn't be having all that fruit. It's nothing but sugar.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever used those words, but I just kind of like, hey, you know, that's
right.
That fruit is just full of sugar. You're just basically eating a bowl of sugar.
So here's how you do it. You guys ever take long car drives and, like trips in a car, this kind of thing? Okay. Yep. This is what you do. You get Gary Taubes's book. Now, Gary has a lot of books. Does your wife have any sort of a weight problem whatsoever? Anything?
Yeah, she's definitely overweight.
Is she concerned about it and want to lose weight? Does she?
She works at it, but I just don't think she's doing the right things. I think she started taking a GLP, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. I like you. That's our generation. You have no fucking idea what your wife's up to. I love that. I love you for that. Here's what you do. Have that book, Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It, on Audible. Just buy, you ever buy books on Audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Have it on Audible and maybe listen to it, right? Listen to it yourself. And find the key point when Gary's talking about certain things. And when you get in the car to go on a trip, you're driving for an hour or two. It's like, honey, I've been this book. You mind if I listen to it? Yeah, go whatever you want. Yeah, just turn it on. It's already queued up, right? And you hear the guy talking about, the book is called Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It. And if it's at a compelling part, after 30 minutes, you tell you what, you want me to turn this off? No, you can leave it on. And you have her. Right. And if she ends up listening to the rest of something like that, then she might go, what about cholesterol? And this, well, I got this Nina Teichol's book, Big Fat Surprise. And then you play that. These books will be way more compelling than me talking about 20 other things and then giving you 5 minutes of a great nugget, right?
Okay.
You have a better chance of catching her that way than with the guy she already hates. That's the way I would do it.
I'll give it a try.
Yeah. And the thing about our generation, we don't have a generation, Ken, you and me. You ever think about that?
No.
We're the tail end of the boomers. As a matter of fact, you might be a Gen Xer, right?
Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, I'm right on the cusp.
Yeah, me too. We're 2 years apart. We're right there where they can call us boomers, but we're not really boomers, right? We came at the end of the boom. And then Madison Avenue said, you know what? There's about a 3-year period in there. These people aren't wearing our colognes. They're not wearing it. They're walking around in Levi 501s and Hanes t-shirts. But we don't know who these fucking people are. Let's just leave them alone. They don't seem to make a lot of noise. They're not really in media. Let's go get that next group. Right? Let's go get that younger group. And that's what they did. So we are part of a generation. And when I told this to my wife for the first time, she was like, wow, I never thought of this. I call us the nowhere generation. We're not here and we're not there. Right? We're not on the beach and we're not out to sea. We're the breakers. Right? We're right in between. And they decided, let's not market to those people. Let's market. That's why we don't have clothes that we wear. Right? We're still stuck with the 501s and a Hanes t-shirt.
Yeah, I have no style.
Same here. I don't either. I mean, I went on Oprah and I had to ask a friend of mine, hey, I'm going to this Oprah show. This is back in 1991 and 92. I'm going on Oprah. What do you wear? And he gave me a pair of pink fuchsia jeans and a black t-shirt. I was like, why can't I just wear my Levi's? He goes, no. You can't go on Oprah like that. You're going to think you're from from the sticks. And I was like, but I am from the sticks. Yeah, that's who we are. So you got to go and get your wife involved. Right? Okay. And Gary's about our age, so she'll get it. She'll get it. I think Gary's exactly. I would have to look it up.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I like your show is that we have some similar life experience and same age and going through the same things.
Yeah, look, everyone that listens to my show, this is the group no one wants, the older people. My show skews between 45 and 65. Everybody wants the TikTokers. It's like, we're not TikTokers, right, but we ain't dead yet. We're still trying to do it, right? That's why the Mike Rose and the Adam Carollas and all those people like having me on. We all think alike. We all grew up at the same time.
Yeah, I listen to all those guys too.
Yeah, Drew Penske's the same way. Drew. I think Drew is about a year older than me. Yeah, about a year. But we're all the same guy. We all think the same way. You think the same way, right? It's just who we are. Well, thanks, Ken.
Well, I appreciate you. When I got the email invite, I thought, there's no way I'm going to get to talk to Vinnie. So great thrill to get to talk to you. I feel like I know you because, you and Chris and Anna, because I listen to you all the time. But great to get to actually meet you.
Yeah, but I'm the coolest in the group. I mean, Anna, Chris, what the hell? I'm kind of a cool kid. Ken, it was a pleasure meeting you. And that's how you get your wife on board. You just accidentally do it. Right?
Sneak up on her. Yep.
You got it, brother. Well, have a great holiday. We have Thanksgiving coming up this week, even though the show's coming on after Thanksgiving. Okay. So go enjoy yourself.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays.
I got you, brother. Chris.
Vinnie.
I think that just about does it, right?
It is. Gary Taubes is 69, by the way.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Okay. That pisses me off because he looks younger than me.
Okay. So I had to double check it because I've seen Gary, right? Like,
he's a good looking man. He does not look 69.
No.
Gary's 69?
1956.
Nina's closer to my age. I think Nina's like a year younger than me or something.
Now that's according to Wikipedia, and we all know how accurate Wikipedia is.
Oh, it's probably right. They usually get the age right, and then they go off the charts after that. I think Nina's like 61 or 62. She's right there. What, you're going to tell me she's 56 and she's going to hear this and kill me? Before we go, Chris, tell me how old Nina is. I need to know.
60.
I got it. Go on. 60? Yeah. And got to tell you, looks good in the bathing suit. The woman was out by the right behind me at the pool about 2 summers ago. And I'm looking at her going, wow, she practices what she preaches. She did not look like a 58-year-old woman when she was here. Maybe 59 at that time. At any rate, I want to thank everyone for being on. Christa, Ken, my old friend, Joy. That was it, right? Christa? Yeah. And Chris Shaffer.
Oh,
Now,
thank you.
there was a bunch of songs during the show I could have gone to, but this is the song I'm going to go to because it was mentioned during the show, so I got to do it. So on behalf of everyone and Chris Shaffer, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living and do it with the village people